We're kicking off with Smackdown as R-Truth was around to visit an old friend in Damian Priest, though the ever-forgetful Truth thought that Priest and he were appearing on Raw. Priest would then share a backstage moment with LA Knight ahead of their tag team main event, and eagle-eyed fans will have spotted Shinsuke Nakamura watching in the background. The main event had been hyped earlier in the night when Priest had been confronted by Jacob Fatu, and this had turned into a brawl with Fatu and Tonga double-teaming Priest. LA Knight arrived to make the save and set up a tag team match for the main event, and after a very fun battle, it was Priest and Knight who got the win over Tonga and Fatu. Priest pinned Tonga, but Jacob Fatu would stand tall in the post-match beatdown over Damian Priest and LA Knight, as WWE remains committed to pushing the Samoan werewolf. But why did Priest and Knight get the win? Well, according to reports, WWE's creative were adamant that both men needed a major win heading into the men's Royal Rumble match. Both men have declared for the match, and with neither man being the favorite to win, WWE wanted the two popular stars to have a victory ahead of a likely setback tonight. Priest only recently moved to SmackDown, and losing a match so early into this run would have been concerning, while Knight has been lacking a clear direction amid his Bloodline feud. It's important to note that Fatu did not suffer the pinfall, as while he was on the losing end of things, the former MLW World Champion remains one of the best pushed stars in 2025. After appearing at Saturday night's main event and this week's Raw, Cody Rhodes was absent from SmackDown but did have a huge moment with Jacob Fatu after the show. SmackDown went off the air with Fatu standing tall after his post-match attack, but once the camera stopped rolling, Rhodes came out to save Priest and Knight. After he took Fatu out, Rhodes, Priest, and Knight surrounded Tonga and beat him down, and the crowd went home happy after seeing the undisputed WWE champion. This moment was a dark segment rather than a dark match, and now Rhodes will turn his attention to tonight's ladder match for the WWE Championship with Kevin Owens. Rhodes didn't have the title with him at SmackDown as he surrendered it at Saturday night's main event, as his title and Owens' real title will be suspended above the ring. Seeing Rhodes was certainly a treat for the fans, and it remains to be seen if that's still the case after Cody's match at the Royal Rumble. In singles action, Carmelo Hayes tried to cheat to get the win, but got a taste of his own medicine as Jimmy Uso won after grabbing the tights of the former NXT champion. There was an interesting moment before the match, as during Jimmy's walkout from the backstage area, US champion Shinsuke Nakamura could be seen watching him. Could this be setting up a future US title feud between Uso and Nakamura? And if so, is it time that Jimmy gets his first taste of singles gold in WWE? In the ring, Kevin Owens was interviewed by Joe Tessitore, and KO would take back the real WWE title that he'd surrendered at Saturday night's main event. This was an interesting move, especially as during the Royal Rumble kickoff earlier in the day, Cody Rhodes had his title, despite having handed the title over last weekend. CM Punk would arrive before Owens could leave and apologize to Owens if he thought Punk was looking past him during this week's Raw, when he teased facing Cody at WrestleMania 41. Punk threw in some verbal digs at Owens, including bringing up his loss last year to Logan Paul, and Owens would leave with his title and without the pair coming to blows. WWE did enough to plant the seeds of a match between the two, and this would be a show-stealing contest, especially if it happens at WrestleMania 41. Before last night, Punk and Owens had never had a televised in-ring segment together, with the closest they'd gotten being a backstage interaction after Punk returned in November 2023. Prior to that, the pair hadn't wrestled for the same company since Ring of Honor in 2005, as Punk left WWE months before Owens signed with the promotion in 2014. Though the two are famously not on friendly terms, there doesn't seem to be any open animosity between them, and certainly none that would prevent an on-screen feud. Owens and Punk did a great job setting up their eventual feud, all without having to lay a finger on each other, and while this wasn't groundbreaking, it did what it needed to do in an entertaining way. The Miz lost to Andrade on SmackDown with no sign of the Wyatt Six, though given the news that a faction member was dealing with an injury, the group wasn't expected this week. Ahead of the show, the Wyatt Six were doing photo ops for the Royal Rumble, but without Bo Dallas, as fans now believe that Bo is the one who's out of action hurt. Now, Alexa Bliss has been absent from WWE TV for 2 years now, with her most recent match being at the 2023 Royal Rumble PLE. As previously reported, Bliss and WWE have been at odds over contract, with Bliss wanting a new, better deal, while WWE intends for her to stay on her current deal with time added. Now the situation is looking bleak, as in the Wrestling Observer newsletter, it said that the two sides are so far apart that people are talking about not expecting a deal to be made. If that is the case, it'd mark the end of close to a dozen years under contract for Bliss, who first signed with WWE in May of 2013. Bliss had been set to return on the January 13th Raw in a segment with the Wyatt Six, but due to her contract dispute, those plans were nixed and the faction was moved to SmackDown. On January 14th, just one day after her return was supposed to happen, Bliss removed all references to WWE from her social media, leading to speculation about her future. Bliss recently shared a photo of herself and her daughter saying she'd be with her for a while, which again led fans to believe that a return to programming is nowhere in sight. With that said, there is incentive for WWE to work something out with Bliss, as the Lily doll proved to be a huge merch seller and WWE would want to keep her around to sell those. With that in mind, it's possible that a last-minute deal could be reached, allowing for Bliss to return in tonight's Women's Royal Rumble match, no matter how unlikely it may seem. Alexa Bliss was once one of WWE's most featured women and the first to hold the Raw and SmackDown women's titles, but for now, her return continues to look uncertain. In tonight's Women's Royal Rumble match, Charlotte Flair will wrestle for the first time in over a year on TV as she makes a return from a serious leg injury. That injury took place in December 2023 on SmackDown, and Flair hasn't been taking it easy in training, where she's been sparring with some elite talent. On Instagram, the Flatbacks Wrestling Training School account shared video of Flair training with Austin and Colton Gunn, where she delivered powerful chops to the former tag champions. AEW Women's World Champion Mariah May was in Flair's corner for this sparring, and the Queen looked in top form and showed little to no signs of ring rust. It's been reported by WrestleVotes that Flair will adopt a top girl persona once she's back, as she intends to become the first ever two-time Women's Royal Rumble winner tonight. On this week's SmackDown, WWE aired likely its last teaser hyping Flair's return, and in a private jet, she called herself the Woman of WWE. With reports of a potential WrestleMania showdown with Tiffany Stratton, Flair has to be considered a favorite tonight, as she hopes to punch her ticket on the road to WrestleMania 41. In a Royal Rumble by the Numbers video package, AJ Styles was featured, and could this be a tease for the Phenomenal One's return tonight? Time will tell. The last time Brock Lesnar appeared for WWE, it was at SummerSlam 2023, but with recent references to the Beast on TV, fans have been speculating on Lesnar returning tonight. WWE reportedly have no creative plans for Lesnar, and now another circumstance outside the company's control should leave fans not expecting the former Universal Champion. Yesterday evening during SmackDown, Janelle Grant's attorney posted an amendment to the lawsuit which for the first time specifically mentions Lesnar by name in the paperwork. Previously, it had only been alleged that McMahon had forced Grant to serve as a former UFC champion, and while it was all but confirmed that this was Lesnar, this has now confirmed it. Lesnar was removed from WWE plans in January 2024 due to the lawsuit, and now that he's been named, fans shouldn't expect WWE to use him in any fashion at this time. Ahead of tonight's Royal Rumble PLE, WWE held a kickoff event this week, which Triple H was part of, but the CCO was far from happy with the action from a fan in attendance. During the event, the fan chanted for AJ Lee while Triple H was hyping up the Royal Rumble, and Triple H gave the fan a serious look and seemed displeased with their interruption. It's been close to a decade since Lee last wrestled on WWE programming, though countless fans remain hopeful she'll return, especially now that her husband CM Punk is back. Punk himself recently teased that he'd love to see AJ return in the Women's Royal Rumble, but didn't say her name as he didn't want to get in trouble. AJ Lee remains one of WWE's most popular women of all time, but Triple H wasn't pleased with this fan's interruption, and will the fans ever see her back in the ring? Time will tell. More from the kickoff event now, as Tyrese Haliburton was part of the festivities, and Triple H teased that the NBA star could be a part of the Men's Rumble match. The kickoff event ended with Cody Rhodes and Michael Cole crowd surfing to the delight of the Indianapolis fans, as the excitement is at a fever pitch ahead of tonight's show. Tonight's Men's Royal Rumble will be the first Rumble for Penta, who debuted a few weeks ago, but the masked star hasn't waited until the match to get physical in Indianapolis. At WWE's Royal Rumble Media Day, Dominik Mysterio was running his mouth to the press as expected and was interrupted by Penta in a tense moment. Things got even more heated when Penta knocked Dominik's hat off his head, and after Penta threatened Mysterio, Dirty Dom retorted, saying, "Homie can't even speak right." This incident comes after Chris Featherstone reported that WWE has big plans for Penta heading into WrestleMania, and could this incident have been the start of a feud? As Dominik is one of WWE's most loathed heels, Penta is bound to get big reactions if they feud, and would you like to see the pair wrestle? Let us know down in the comments section below. It was on the January 13th Raw that Penta made his long-awaited debut, and after a victory over Chad Gable, the ex-AEW star cut an emotional promo to the fans. On Busted Open Radio, Penta was asked about this promo and shared that it was unscripted and came from his heart, as he wants to represent his culture, friends, and legends. Penta also vowed to never let down those who have supported him, and so far, the undefeated superstar is proving to be a force to be reckoned with and a hit with fans. With all the buzz around him, expectations are high for Penta in WWE, and his emotional promo from his debut was an honest moment for the masked star, set to take WWE by storm. Back to SmackDown, as ahead of challenging DIY tonight, the Motor City Machine Guns were forced to team with Los Garza to take on DIY and Pretty Deadly. This was a great match with both sides showing tag team offense until Los Garza, annoyed that they weren't allowed to pick up the win, walked out on the Guns. This looked like it'd be an easy win for DIY until Pretty Deadly refused to help them as well, and the Guns got a roll-up 3 count to gain the advantage ahead of tonight's tag team title match. With DIY having no one to support them, Sabin and Shelley are confident they can get the win in the 2 out of 3 falls match and become the new tag team champions in the process. Backstage, Tonga was seen eyeing up the tag team championships in a segment with DIY, so should the champs retain, they may fall afoul of Tonga and Jacob Fatu. In recent years, AEW has seen several names part ways with the company, including Cody Rhodes, Jade Cargill, and Penta, and now another name has said goodbye. On Twitter, Maria Kanellis-Bennett shared that yesterday, January 31st, was her final day with AEW, but shared that her husband Mike was still under contract with the company. The Kanellis-Bennetts joined AEW in 2022 as part of the Kingdom with Matt Taven, and while she primarily worked as a manager, Maria had been open to doing more behind the scenes. Maria had especially wanted to help the women's division and had worked backstage with ROH's women's division prior to the promotion being purchased by Tony Khan. As for what's next for Maria, that remains to be seen, but for now, fans have seen the last of the former Divas Search contestant as part of AEW programming. Back to the Royal Rumble, as the recent media day saw tempers flare among the roster, including between WWE Women's Champion Tiffany Stratton and her former ally Nia Jax. During the press event, Stratton would walk past Jax, who gave the new champion a middle finger salute, and the women's champion responded in kind with a digit of her own. It's unclear what led to this confrontation, but the fact that the pair responded so strongly has led some fans to speculate if there is real-life tension between the two superstars. Stratton is not booked for tonight's event, while Nia Jax will be part of the Women's Rumble match, though no doubt wishes she was still champion and not part of the contest. Tensions are running high ahead of the Royal Rumble as fans await to see which man and which woman earn a championship opportunity this April at WrestleMania 41 in Las Vegas. On Smackdown, Candice LeRae confronted Tiffany Stratton and confirmed her entry into the Women's Rumble match, and Nia Jax was able to get one over on Stratton. Jax laid out the women's champion with an annihilator in a clear message to both the champion and the 29 other women in tonight's Royal Rumble match. The Royal Rumble PLE is typically a night of surprises, and from what we've seen in Indianapolis, this year's event will prove to be no exception. PW Insider reports that former ECW champion Rhino was seen at the hotel where WWE superstars and staff were staying, and he was greeted by members of talent relations. Rhino was quickly whisked away to a more private area, and his presence has fueled speculation that he will be in tonight's men's Royal Rumble match. The Man Beast of Detroit recently became a free agent after finishing his time with TNA Wrestling and made his Royal Rumble debut back in the 2004 match. While Rhino was already in town for WrestleCon, his presence at the WWE's hotel suggests there may be much more going on for him this weekend than a convention appearance. Fans are excited for surprise returns, such as Bubba Ray Dudley, whose recent role on NXT TV makes a possible candidate, and JBL has been throwing clotheslines everywhere. More Royal Rumble potential returns could include Kurt Angle, who is in Indianapolis for WrestleCon, and Fightful reports that he's told those close to him that WWE have reached out. According to Angle, WWE wants him to be involved in tonight's event, though it's unclear if this would be a spot in the men's Royal Rumble match itself or another kind of appearance. Angle may not be the only Hall of Famer appearing, as Fightful Select reports that Nikki Bella has also been spotted in Indianapolis ahead of the Royal Rumble. It's unclear if she's set to enter the Women's Rumble or just make an appearance, and with WrestleCon, her being in Indianapolis alone doesn't guarantee anything WWE related. With that said, it certainly adds fuel to the fire, and if she wrestled, it'd be the first time for Nikki in 3 years, with her most recent match being the 2022 Women's Rumble, won by Ronda Rousey. In March 2023, Nikki and Brie let their WWE contracts expire, which many thought was the end of their time with the company. However, Nikki has been keeping close to WWE as of late, including attending Raw's premiere on Netflix and dropping hints about a potential return to the ring. Time will tell if Nikki, Angle, and other legends return to WWE tonight, as the stacked event could be about to get even more star-studded with the return of several legends. In addition to the return of past names, fans have been excited to see which stars from NXT could appear in the Royal Rumble matches, and Stephanie Vaquer could be on that list. Fightful Select reports that Vaquer has been discussed for an appearance, and though nothing has been confirmed, being discussed mere months into her WWE run bodes well for her. Vaquer established herself in CMLL and New Japan before arriving in WWE, and will challenge for the Women's North American title at Vengeance Day on February 15th. In addition to Vaquer, it's also been rumored that Obafemi, Julia, Trick Williams, and Roxanne Perez could be a part of the Royal Rumble matches, though this has not been confirmed. Mickie James is another name rumored to appear, as is Matt Cardona, who has transformed his career in the years since his time as lovable jobber Zack Ryder came to an end in 2020. It's appearances like the ones rumored that make this Royal Rumble one of the most exciting nights on the WWE's calendar, as the road to WrestleMania will kick off with a bang tonight. After pinning Chelsea Green last week, Michin got another shot at the US title on Smackdown with B-Fab and Piper Niven in the corners of their respective allies. The champion had to kick out of 2 pinfalls less than 30 seconds into the match and took a breather to the outside, and the pair were given time to build up some chemistry. That is why it was surprising that there were moments that looked awkward and missed time, and after Michin got eat defeat in, Green got herself DQ'd with a kendo stick to keep the gold. This was an interesting finish, especially as last week WWE teased Piper Niven speaking to Blair Davenport, suggesting that Blair would help Green in this title match. Perhaps Blair will join Green's cabinet down the line, especially as this DQ finish certainly suggests that Michin will get another shot at the women's US title. Stephanie McMahon made an appearance on SmackDown as there was hype around her Stephanie's Places show coming to ESPN Plus this March. Tyrese Haliburton was brought out for an interview with Pat McAfee and Michael Cole before Naomi took on Liv Morgan in singles action. With Bianca Belair and Raquel Rodriguez at ringside, it seemed inevitable that one of them got involved, and Raquel's distraction allowed Morgan to trip Naomi on the middle rope. This match had a good amount of time and allowed for different paces as the two sold big moves, but also had some quick back and forth sequences. Belair attacked Raquel when she tried to get involved again, and her intervention allowed for Naomi to counter a pin and score the victory, only for the faces to be ambushed post-match. Morgan and Rodriguez left the tag team champions down and out, and even with this 50-50 booking, this was an entertaining match where the right woman won, and the losers still looked like a threat. Morgan and Rodriguez chasing the tag titles would make a perfect sense, and don't be surprised if they end up taking the gold from Belair and Naomi. And that was SmackDown, and what did you think of the show? Share your thoughts below. And we're ending with Patrick Clark, aka Velveteen Dream, who wore a provocative shirt at an indie event featuring the mugshots of many names associated with the wrestling business. This shirt and its guilty by association message on the back drew a lot of criticism, especially given the controversies that resulted in Clark's WWE exit in 2021. Now, though, Clark has doubled down on this new controversy as he took to Instagram to promote his shirt as official merch, posting several photos of himself wearing it. The picture included the caption, "Guilty by association merch available, #heel," and the reaction so far has been overwhelmingly negative. Many on social media have called the shirt disrespectful and a cheap attempt at getting attention, and some believe he's using wrestling controversies to try and remain relevant. Some find it disrespectful to use the low points of wrestlers who are now deceased, including Scott Hall, Andre the Giant, and Eddie Guerrero, just to push an edgy persona. Clark's return to wrestling has been met with skepticism, and this shirt isn't helping his case, with many feeling he has crossed the line by using real legal troubles and personal struggles. Well, what did you think? Did the former Velveteen Dream go too far? Or is all fair in the quest for heel heat? Should wrestlers profit from real controversies like this? Let us know down below.